Hello and welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 117, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NATV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And this week's Nipah Banner and Press edition is dated Friday, March 26th, 2021. And the front page has a beautiful picture of a prairie sunset. This beautiful prairie sunset was captured going down over the fields in rural municipality of Rosedale in the Spring Hill area. Very nice. And the first article is the Neepawa Town Council News, Tuesday, March 16th, by Owen Devereaux. A variation request for a new house in Neepawa has been rejected. The request was made to Council on Tuesday, March 16th by a Brandon-based developer who was asking for the reduction in the town's requirements for the size of a housing unit within the town limits. The current house, located at 237 First Avenue, has structural issues that would require significant repairs. The developers were looking to place a two-story house on the lot, with the main floor measured to be just 540 square feet. The total combined size of the structure would be 1,080 square feet. Currently, Neepawa requires that any new single residence housing unit must have a square footage of at least 800 square feet on the main floor, or its footprint and is not cumulative to the number of stories. The lot itself, meanwhile, is 35 feet wide and 65 feet deep, with no back lane access. The request was circulated to property owners within 100 meters of the lot, and there were no formal comments filed. Council unanimously rejected the request, citing that such a dramatic alteration to the existing requirements could set a precedent for future housing development that town officials would not be comfortable with. It's unfortunate that we have a young man here who wants to build in our community. It's unfortunate that it goes against our code requirements, and as all the councillors have said, the rules are something we have to maintain, said Mayor Blake McCutcheon. And an editor's note to that, all councils make a mistake from time to time, and the current council made a mistake by not allowing a variation for 237 First Avenue. The proposed house had no objections from neighbors, would have been a big improvement, and would have generated more taxes. Also, a variation is not setting a precedent. It is to allow for special circumstances. They should definitely reconsider this case, said Ken Waddell. A new inquiry has been made on the progress of a dog park in Neepawa. In 2015, a local group known as the Neepawa and Area Off-Leash Dog Park Association asked the town to donate a portion of land for the proposal. A section was provided in the northeast end of the Ag Fairgrounds, with the town maintaining ownership. The association would then work on raising the amount needed for construction of fencing and other maintenance requirements. Since that time, there has been little progress announced regarding the park. Mike Spees has asked members of the association and the town for an update. Members of the dog park committee informed him that they have had to disband due to a variety of work and family-related commitments taking precedent. The town, meanwhile, has indicated that the land in question is still available, though other locations could also be considered. Council added that they would be interested in working with SPEACE or any members of the community on this project. Councillor Murray Parrott provided new details on some of the work that is ongoing at the Beautiful Plains Medical Clinic. A vaccination room, which will be able to be used for the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines, has been prepared. A refrigeration unit has also been delivered and placed in the room for the vials. An exact timeline for when vaccines would be delivered to the clinic is not known at this time. When doses do become available, the scheduling will be handled through the clinic's physicians. There has also been work going on for a light therapy booth at the clinic. The necessary equipment for this practice, known as phototherapy, should arrive in late March. Phototherapy can be used to assist with some skin disorders, as well as mood and sleep disorders. Councillor Darren Pueblo noted that the 2021 schedule for swimming lessons has been posted on the town's social media platforms and its own website. Denise Segay has notified Council that about 2.4 kilometers of paving upgrades are planned for the town of Nipah in 2021. A priority request has been put in to the provincial government to ensure that desired work is completed in a timely manner. A request for a change to the speed limit zone near the High Life Foods facility has been sent to the province. The town expects to hear on the application by June. The spring clearing of the town's street drainage and the repair of potholes with dry mix are being scheduled for the near future. Manitoba remains at critical Code-19 level. Manitoba will remain at Code Red for a few more weeks. Brian Pallister, the Premier and the Chief Provincial Public Health Officer, Dr. Brent Roussin, announced on Tuesday, March 23rd, that the province will not move down into orange-level pandemic restrictions. The decision was made after reviewing the results of a recent public survey. The decision to keep the province at the highest level of restrictions on the pandemic response system came because of feedback from Manitobans, concerns over rising numbers of more transmissible coronavirus variants, the province said in a news release. While the province will stay at Code Red, there will be some modest changes taking effect at 12:01 a.m. Friday, March 26th. Those changes include increased limits on outdoor gatherings, weddings, and funerals from 10 to 25 people, and increased maximum capacity for retail stores from 250 to 500 people, although stores may not exceed 50% capacity. People will also be allowed to leave their vehicles while attending drive-in events, as long as they follow all other public health rules. Roussin noted that changes to indoor or outdoor gathering sizes at personal residences or in restaurants will not be introduced, as prolonged contact has a higher risk of transmitting the virus. We are carefully monitoring our hospitalization data and case numbers of cases linked to variants of concern to ensure that we gradually reopen. We continue to have capacity in the system, said Roussin. That said, we are going to see more cases and more exposures as we slowly reopen. COVID-19 will be here to stay for a while, and we need to work together to manage its effects and protect our most vulnerable. We can continue to do this by following the fundamentals, including mask wearing, frequent hand washing, staying home when sick, and getting vaccinated when eligible. More changes could be considered after spring break, Passover, and Easter. The new health orders are to expire on April the 15th. Next, we have a picture showing threshing with the Dobles. Pictured is the Doble brothers' threshing outfit circa 1910. Note the Gardner blower, a first in Manitoba invented by Gardner of Eden. The story goes that Mr. Doble went by train to Winnipeg to look at buying a new gas tractor. He was met at the train by the sales rep in a Model T Ford and taken out to the place where the tractor was. They tried all day to get the tractor started, Mr. Doble went home without seeing the tractor even running. And we'll learn more about farm machinery when we get to Helen's recipe later on in this edition. NACTV extends reach across western Manitoba. Westman Cable Channel 117 added to the list by Ken Waddell. While Neepawa Access Community Television, or NACTV, has been around for 40 years, it continues to expand and grow. The community-owned and operated television station has confirmed that Westman Communications Group, WGG, has switched NACTV from Channel 12 to Channel 117. The change was instigated so that all WCG customers can access Neepawa's NACTV programming across western Manitoba. NACTV is owned and operated by a locally elected community board consisting of Dave Bennett as chair, Rain Pryor, Bill Sirik, John Drinkwater, and Myra Bennett. Located at 423 Mountain Avenue in the Neepawa Banner and Press building, the station has 2 full-time staff, Liwei Cabrera and Jeremy Vogt. NACTV is planning to bring in some part-timers as well. A big part of the station's success is the volunteers. As COVID-19 restrictions started to grip the area, one of station's main sources of income, the Wednesday night bingo, was threatened as stores could no longer sell bingo cards. That's when longtime NACTV volunteer and bingo coordinator Val Wilson sprang into action. Val now delivers cards to many customers, and card sales have increased 4-fold from pre-COVID days. Partly due to bingo player demand from other communities, Westman Communications Group has switched NACTV to Channel 117, ensuring that all its WCG customers can conveniently watch the program live each week. NACTV operates 24 hours a day on WCG Channel 117, MTS Channel 30 and 1030, and on Bell Express View 592. Viewers can also access NACTV online at nactv.tv. Homebodies by Rita Friesen. Gardening is an ever-learning curve for me. Truthfully, I have learned a great deal. There was the year I attempted to store carrots in a carton of barley. Having heard tales of root vegetables being safely stored in a grain bin, probably wheat, and being firm and crisp by spring, I deduced that if I brought grain inside and stored the whole kit and could boodle in the cold room, the end result should be the same. No. By January, there was a distinct malt odor in the basement, and further examination located a puddle of brew seeping from the carrot carton. It was not a pleasant task to haul a weeping, sagging box upstairs and outside. Well, never did that again, so it was not a total lost cause. I learned one more how not to. I also reasoned that bringing down more potatoes than I would need or use in one winter simply meant extra work in the spring, once again lugging sprouted, softened root vegetables up and out. I do here witness that both of these root crops can be wonderfully stored and amazingly fresh until spring. I do hear that. Last fall, I decided to try something here in my home with no basement, only a crawl space. Selecting a number of geraniums, those bearing my favorite colored blossoms, I pulled them, allowed them to partially dry, cut off the tops, and placed them with crumpled, dampened newspaper in a 5-gallon pail into the crawl space. Not wanting to start the regrowth too early, I waited until the first week of March and pulled them up. They had not been watered all winter, looked half alive, and so 4 of them were started in potting soil. Another one was placed in water to see if the roots would enliven. Within days, there were fresh sprouts on all 4 in the soil and a strong discoloration in the water around the bare roots. It is a delight to watch the steady growth, promise of healthy plants for summer. I had and have one broken stem from another plant I have nurtured in the living room all winter, and that one rooted well and now is also a good-looking possibility. Not that I love geraniums, they are hardy and bright, and I have memories of many a farm kitchen cheered by a lanky geranium, often planted in a coffee tin. But I was curious if the crawl space would allow roots to stay safe and alive for a winter, because I want to plant dahlias this summer and hope to keep those roots for years to come. It should work. Gardening is good for body and soul. Soil under the fingernails, aches in the knees, and a sense of having worked with the earth to make the world a better place. True story, I can clean stalls, dig in the dirt, and generally muck about and never feel sullied. Should I get any batter on my hands, or heaven forbid grease or yolk, I can't wash it off quickly enough. Yucky. Long may I garden, and long may I continue to learn. So, back to Helen Drysdale, out of Helen's Kitchen. This week's title is Agricultural Machinery. It was the 1890s, and a new day was dawning for agriculture everywhere. Reapers, machines that cut the grain, and binders, machines that bound the grain into sheaves, were already being used, and many more efficient every year. Threshers were soon on the scene, at first run by horsepower and later run by stationary steam engines. It was not long after the slow-moving spiked wheel steam engine appeared, weighing 20 tons and using up to 70 barrels of water a day. The new traction engine brought in a new era of farming. The first steam engines bore the Case logo of an eagle on them, as J.I. Case was the man behind adding wheels to the stationary steam engine. They could be up to 100 horsepower. The Scottish inventor James Watt figured out to compare the output of a steam engine with the power of a draft horse, or simply put, how many horses could an engine replace? Each steam engine had an engineer who kept it running, a fireman who fed the straw, wood, or coal to the firebox, the waterman who hauled the barrels of water, and the fuel man who carried the straw, wood, or coal to the machine. Sparks from the steam engines often set fire to the nearby straw. The water level in the boiler had to be watched, or the boiler might explode, which did happen. It was a large task to move the steamers between farms. Care was taken not to mire the steamer, as it could be there for a while. The largest steam tractor in the world was the Case 150. Weighing 75,000 pounds, this amazing machine was the powerhouse of its time, capable of pulling 30 or more plow bottoms. As the 20th century came, so did the arrival of the internal combustion engine, with a new sound, very loud, but they were still ginormous in size. They could hold 100 or more gallons of water, 70 gallons of gas, and 5 gallons of oil. They needed fewer men to operate, however, were very finicky to start and run. Some tractors had 19 rules for starting them and 13 rules for stopping them. Many farmers left them running all night rather than restart them in the morning. One farmer wrote in his diary in 1914, May the 4th, could not start motor. May the 6th, tractor not running. May the 9th, working on tractor. May the 20th, rear end burst, repairs needed, and on it went. Fairly quickly, the manufacturers, including Hart Parr, Case, and Rumley, had reduced the size and cost of the tractors. Prices were under $1,000. A steam engine was a more tolerant engine and could work if it was not in good condition or with an inexperienced operator. A gas engine had to have perfect adjustments and an operator who knew what they were doing. Even Mr. Ford got in on building tractors. His intention was to mass produce a tractor and sell it for around $300. When his tractor came to fruition in 1918, it cost $750. My dad started farming with his brother in the late 40s, and together they bought a Massey 101. Slow and pulling small 7-foot implements, they ran it 24 hours a day in order to be able to get all the crop in. Perhaps the single greatest leap forward for tractors was the invention of the 3-point hitch. Lights and starters came in the 20s, and in the 30s came rubber tires and diesel engines that gave farmers access to cheaper fuel. In 1966, Versatile, a Winnipeg-based manufacturer, was the first company to mass produce an articulated four-wheel drive tractor. When I see the new tractors of today, I cannot begin to imagine what the old-timers would think. A recipe to feed that hungry man in from the field is the following: chicken and dumplings. Now, for the Spruce Plains RCMP report by Corporal Jacob Stanton of the Spruce Plains RCMP. During the week of March 15th to 21st, Spruce Plains RCMP dealt with 43 police activities. March 15th, RCMP received a complaint of an erratic driver in the RM of Oakview, traveling at a high rate of speed. Police made patrols for the suspect vehicle but were unable to locate it. Police conducted a COVID compliance check at a residence in Minnedosa. All persons were found complying with the quarantine regulations. Police received a report of a hit and run to a vehicle in Gladstone. There was insufficient evidence to proceed further. March 16th, RCMP responded to a report of an abandoned vehicle parked on a lot in Minnedosa. After investigation, it was learned that the vehicle was stolen out of Saskatchewan. The investigation is ongoing. Police were dispatched to a chimney fire at a residence in Kelwood. The fire was contained to the stove and chimney. There were no other damages to the residence or reported injuries. It was determined the fire had likely started due to the drastic fluctuation of outside temperatures. March 17th, RCMP responded to a report of fraud in Nipah, where the complainant received a phone call from a person claiming to be from Service Canada. The complainant was convinced to purchase $2,100 of gift cards for the scammer and divulged other personal information. There was not enough evidence for the investigation to proceed further. Police received a report of suspicious vehicles driving in the RM of Minto O'Donnell. As it turned out, the vehicles were the police conducting patrols in the area. March 18th, RCMP responded to 2 break-and-enters at businesses in Gladstone. The investigations are ongoing. Police conducted COVID compliance checks at residences in Nipah. All persons were found complying with quarantine regulations. Police received a report of threats being uttered in Nipah, and the matter is under investigation. March 19th, reports of assault in the RM of Minto O'Donnell. The complainant decided not to pursue charges after police attended and spoke to all involved parties. Police received a report of a suspicious person who was asking for money from residents in Nipah. There was insufficient evidence to proceed further, and it appears to be an isolated event. March 20th, RCMP conducted proactive traffic enforcement, engaging with several motorists. On the 21st, RCMP were dispatched to a report of an assault in the RM of Minto O'Donnell and is under investigation. Police reported a dangerous driver in Nipah. Patrols were made, but the suspect vehicle was not located. And on to Minnedosa's budget details unveiled by Owen Devereaux. Minnedosa has revealed the numbers for its 2021 financial plan. A public notice was uploaded to the town website on March 18th, stating that municipal officials will present the document at a public hearing on Tuesday, April 13th. That meeting, to be held in Town Council chambers, will also be the public's chance to ask questions or register objection to the plan. Some of the most notable details in the document include total municipal expenditures have been budgeted at $11 million for this year, with the amount raised through the total tax levy estimated at nearly $4,789,000. Transfers from accumulated surplus reserves and other revenue will cover the rest of the expected expenditures. For protective services, the total budget amount set aside has been tagged at $748,566. Of that, $510,000 is earmarked for police services, and $176,566 is for fire services. Emergency measures organization, handy van, and animal and pest control are also a part of this category. Transportation services, which makes up roads, sidewalks, boulevards, street lighting, cleaning, and snow removal, is budgeted at $746,600. Recreation and cultural services will have $468,100 set aside for it in the budget. The total amount budgeted for environmental health services is $299,500. The cost for garbage collection is $197,000, recycling $92,000, and nuisance grounds is $10,500. In regard to spending on specific items, there are several important projects in the works. The largest investment is going towards Minnedosa's new arena. Estimated total cost is $9 million, with $3 million covered through the general fund, $1,875 million borne by reserves, and $3.5 million through a bank loan. The loan will be paid back over the course of 20 years at $243,486 per year. Some of the other expenditures of note and their total costs are Victoria Bay paving, $270,000, arena repairs, $250,000, 9th Avenue South with housing hydro, $200,000, Centennial 4th Avenue to 6th Avenue, $110,000. A complete breakdown of budgeted expenditures and lists of planned projects can be seen with the draft copy on the financial plan at www.discoverminnedosa.com. And going along with Minnedosa, the RCMP has seized drugs and cash submitted by the RCMP. A pair of people have been arrested in connection to a drug seizure in Minnedosa. On Friday, March 20th at 12:35 a.m., Manitoba West District's Crime Reduction Enforcement Support Team, along with Spruce Plains RCMP and Police Dog Services, executed a search warrant at a home on 5th Avenue Northwest in Minnedosa. A search of the residence resulted in the seizure of cocaine, methamphetamine, drug paraphernalia, and Canadian currency. 2 adults were arrested at the scene. A 32-year-old female from Minnedosa has been charged with 2 counts of possession for the purpose of trafficking, possession of property obtained by crime, and possession of trafficking paraphernalia. The suspect was remanded into custody. Meanwhile, a 27-year-old male is also facing several charges and was released from custody with a court date of June 22nd. RCMP continue to investigate. Mazier pleased with progress made at Conservative Policy Convention by Owen Devereaux. Heading into the Conservative Party of Canada's CPC recent policy convention, Dauphin's Swan River Neepawa MP Dan Masier had some high hopes for what could be achieved. And while the weekend did not meet every expectation, there was still more than enough forward momentum for him to be feeling optimistic about the party's future prospects. Canada's official opposition held its virtual convention March 18th to the 20th. The purpose of the festivities was to debate and set the party platform going forward into the next election. It was a chance for CPC leader Erin O'Toole to introduce himself to the nation. The results of the weekend saw the Conservatives lay out what they are calling Secure the Future, Canada's Recovery Plan. The main priorities include the following: recovering 1 million jobs which were lost during the pandemic within a year, enact new anti-corruption law to create toughest accountability and transparency on federal officials, boosting funding to the provinces for mental health care and provide incentives to businesses to provide mental health coverage to employees, improve domestic production capacity for critical medicines, vaccines, and PPE, and overhaul and rebuild the national emergency stockpile system, and balance the federal budget over the next decade. For Dan Masier, this was the first time experiencing a virtual convention. He told the Banner and Press that he felt as though the process went very smoothly and that the priorities within the platform are something that he can get behind. It met my expectation on what I felt would be achieved in passing resolutions. It's great to see a focus on jobs and making the government accountable. What I was really pleased to see was the overall mental health strategy. COVID really did spotlight the need for government to put more attention on mental health, and especially in the rural areas. I'm very glad to see there is going to be a strategic plan from the Conservative government that is very well thought out. It was very good to see, stated Masier. As for O'Toole's message to Canadians, Masier felt as though it was a step in the right direction. There was a chance for our leader, Erin O'Toole, to show himself not only to the membership but to all of Canada, to tell his story and state where he stands on different issues, and send a very clear positive message to the party and the rest of Canada, said Masier. He's facing the challenge of not being able to travel across this nation and meet with the people directly and get known. Having said that, though, I think he did a very good job outlining the plan. The plan is what we keep on hearing from Canadians as what they'd like to see progress made on in the future. The way O'Toole laid out the groundwork on the different subject matters, I think, was fantastic. A huge talking point for many media pundits coming out of the convention was the Conservative Party's declaration on climate change. In total, 54% of delegates voted against the motion, which included 9 separate addendums within the motion. Masier, who voted in favor of the motion, stated that the large size and scope of the resolution, along with an inability to alter the wording at the convention, was its ultimate undoing. When you look at the breakdown of votes per province, it's not surprising where the language of the motion would have created hesitancy in endorsing the whole resolution. Part of the thing we gave up in the whole resolution process was the ability to amend. We could have done that before, Masier noted. Whether or not it's wholeheartedly endorsed as a party, the leader was very clear. The science is clear, and we are moving forward with policy on climate change. Masier also stated that it was safe to say that Conservative plan on climate change would definitely not include the federal Liberals' carbon tax. And an article on vaccines, gone in a flash at Gladstone Pharmacy by Kira Patterson. One rural pharmacy in the area has received a shipment of the AstraZeneca vaccine for their community, but the shots have already been distributed. The Gladstone Pharmacy received 50 doses of the fridge-friendly immunization on Monday, March 22nd, and they were all claimed on that same day. Sharon Smith, a pharmacist at Gladstone Pharmacy, noted that they've been getting calls about vaccines ever since it was announced that doses were going out to local pharmacies in Manitoba, even before they received any. When they did receive their allocation, the pharmacy worked on contacting some of their patients that met the specific criteria for the AstraZeneca vaccine. Smith added that they also got a lot of calls from people all over the province and made as many appointments as their stock allowed. Currently, they have no more vaccines to administer, and Smith said they don't know when they will receive another batch. RRSD, Processing Results of Education Review by Kira Patterson. Even the results now public, the provincial K-12 Education Review has stirred up a lot of uncertainty among school divisions, especially rural ones. Mary Ann Plushinsky, Superintendent of Rolling River School Division, RRSD, echoed that sentiment when the Banner Press reached out last Wednesday. She said Education Minister Cliff Cullen provided a lot of information in his announcement on March the 15th, and we need time to process and unpack this information. For those unfamiliar with it, the government's K-12 education review was done in 2019 and was to be made public in March 2020. But they delayed the announcement a year because of COVID-19. It was announced on Monday, March 15th, what recommendations came from the review and what changes are planned through their Better Education Starts Today strategy. The biggest changes included getting rid of elected school boards completely and replacing them with an appointed provincial advisory board and community councils. The government also plans on moving the bulk of the administration, including IT resources, workforce planning, and collective bargaining, to one central provincial education authority and converting the 37 school divisions to 15 regions. Plushinsky expressed this is a major announcement and leaves our operational staff with stress and uncertainty related to job security. I want to emphasize that we have a lot of knowledge and experience in rural Manitoba, and it is very important that rural job opportunities are provided in the new educational entities, either face-to-face or remotely, depending on the role. She added that with this coming transition, she encourages communities to keep informed with what's going on by checking out the provincial website, bettereducationmb.ca. RRSD will work with government and our regional partners, Beautiful Plains School Division and Park West School Division, through the process of education reform and the Better Education Starts Today strategy, Plushinsky shared. She noted that with the roadmap for implementation coming out this fall, the school division will be focusing on communicating with staff and their communities to make sure everyone is aware of the transition. Now, on this page, there's a huge picture of Nipah residents celebrating Worldwide Quilting Day. The top picture shows Worldwide Quilting Day took place on Saturday, May 20th, and Nipah's quilting community took part. Members of the Tangled Threads Quilt Guild proudly displayed quilts outside their homes, while co-chair Tanis Brown arranged for the residents of Aspen Lee to display some of their favorite quilts as well, which is pictured above. And to the left, Dave Bennett showed off a treasured family quilt made about 50 years ago for his sons by their grandma Howe. Community news. The Beautiful Plains Community Medical Clinic is preparing for vaccines by Kira Wilson. While there were no Nipah locations receiving doses from the first allotment of a fridge-friendly AstraZeneca vaccine, the Beautiful Plains Medical Clinic is remaining hopeful that there will be some coming in the future. Dr. Desilets one of the doctors who practices out of the Beautiful Plains Clinic noted that the clinic has been working towards getting the vaccine for a couple of months now. We did submit an application in early February with the hopes of eventually being able to provide a vaccine locally here in Nipah to the patients in our surrounding communities. The clinic is currently estimating they could be allotted some shots in April. However, they haven't heard confirmation on that from the province yet. Once they do receive the vaccine, Dr. Desolé noted that the clinic will be contacting people they know are on the priority list. We will make every effort to contact our most vulnerable patients. However, we have a limited capability to audit all of our patient charts in a timely manner, so we welcome phone inquiries from anyone believing they are eligible to receive the vaccine based on the government stated eligibility criteria. In terms of who is available for the AstraZeneca vaccine, it is a different group of people than those who is currently eligible for the Pfizer and Moderna at the super sites and pop-up clinics. The AstraZeneca criteria, as it stands right now, are people aged 50 to 64 with certain medical criteria. There are also other special groups, such as our First Nations population, that have different criteria, usually younger. There are also some other special groups, such as people in congregate living situations or some pregnant women with higher risk criteria that are being offered various forms of the vaccine. As it stands right now, there's a big long list of medical conditions that are being prioritized, and that's for AstraZeneca, and that may also change in the future, explained Dr. Desolé. The Manitoba government website has a full list of the prioritized medical conditions, which includes certain heart, renal, blood and vascular disorders, severe obesity, Down syndrome, and the use of certain immunosuppressive therapies. If you're not sure whether you meet those criteria, you're always welcome to discuss with your family doctor who knows your medical history the best, because there is a little bit of detail with some of those medical conditions and people may not know whether they fall into those categories. The Beautiful Plains Clinic is currently prepared to administer vaccines so that as soon as they receive any shipment, they can be booking appointments immediately. The doctors at the clinic would be the ones giving the shots. Dr. Desolé noted that all physicians are experienced at administering immunizations, but there are some differences with the COVID-19 vaccine that they've had to learn about. Some of the things that we have done to prepare is all the physicians have educated themselves on what makes the COVID vaccine different. It's been developed and rolled out a little bit differently than other vaccines in the past. We have looked at shifting our schedules and availability to make booking a vaccine appointment efficient and timely so that we're not sitting with vaccine in the fridge that's not being used. And then finally, we have been looking at replacing our vaccine fridge for a while now, and this is a good opportunity to do that. So we did proceed with getting a new vaccine fridge. Not only does the Beautiful Plains Clinic not know when vaccine doses may come, they also don't know how much would be allotted here if they do. Dr. Desolé noted that the shipments that have gone to local clinics and pharmacies so far have all been very small, and that there is a possibility that the Beautiful Plains Clinic would see only small shipments at first as well. I would not be surprised if there are still small amounts, especially as the government and the public health officials are targeting higher risk groups, she noted. That being said, I'm sure that the end target would be for a larger volume to be available to more people and for us to be able to administer it faster. For anyone unsure whether the vaccines are safe, Dr. Desolé stressed that they are. Doctors feel that vaccines are very safe, and I know there's a lot of concern about how vaccines are developed and how they're approved and things like that, but these vaccines are really safe, she reiterated. It's normal to have questions, so for that reason we encourage people to check out online resources that are available, reach out to their family physician or any other member of the medical team to address those reservations and hopefully get the answers that they're needing. One online resource that Dr. Desolé recommends is manitobavaccine.ca, which is a website created by Manitoba doctors. The site has answers to a variety of frequently asked questions in regards to the COVID-19 vaccines, as well as timely updates on vaccine eligibility criteria. There's also an eligibility checker that keeps up to date, added Dr. Desolé. So you can answer some yes or no questions, and at the end it will tell you if you're eligible or not. If you're not, you can enter your email address and be contacted at the time that you do become eligible. And I think that will allay some people's concerns of maybe missing their chance or not knowing when they're eligible. The Manitoba government website, gov.mb.ca, also has information on eligibility for the different vaccines, as well as the vaccine shot finder, which shows where the AstraZeneca vaccine can be found in communities. However, as expected with any campaign of this size, mistakes are always possible. Most notable, the government's vaccine shot finder showed on Monday that the Beautiful Plains Clinic was a current vaccination site, but the clinic has confirmed that they are still waiting on an allocation. That clinic was inadvertently shown on the map earlier, but should no longer be there. They are indeed eligible to receive an allocation when we next get an allotment from the federal government. The timing and amount of that allotment are currently unknown. Now on to Carberry, North Cypress, Langford News by Gladwin Scott. This week's community profile is on a young man named Will McKinnon. He is 17 years old and member of the Carberry Collegiate 2021 graduating class. Physics, biology, and English are part of his final semester workload. He is an enthusiastic after-school employee at Spud City Food Mart. Will is polite, on time, witty, hardworking, and is good with our customers, said Miles Olmsted, co-owner of Spud City. Will enjoys recreational hockey when it is available. Two people who have influenced his development are his parents, Shauna and Brian. After graduation, he plans to work for a year prior to continuing his education at Assiniboine Community College. And an article on a new Carberry librarian. Laurie McNevin has been the new Carberry Library branch supervisor since early January, although her family has lived in the area for 6 years. She loves reading and is very dedicated to her new role. Originally from the Toronto area, she and her husband, Corporal John McNevin, who works in the RCMP Forensic Division, have 3 children in grades 5, 3, and pre-kindergarten. Previous postings have been in God's Lake Narrows for 2 years and Churchill for 3. Besides reading, Laurie is an editor and enjoys gardening and cross-country skiing. Carberry is part of the Western Manitoba Regional Library Organization, which includes Glenborough, Nipah, Hartney, and Brandon. We offer many programs, including computer services, 6 iPads for rent, take and make craft kits, WMRL.ca website, at Carberry Library Instagram, and Carberry Public Library Facebook. We are planning an art display later in the attractive, comfortable library setting. The library is open 9 to 5, Tuesday to Saturday. Here and there, excerpts from Joint Town of Carberry and RM of North Cypress Langford recent meeting. Agreed to combine and split ballpark and camping revenues and expenditures and split the future balance 50-50. Deal with the winter arena deficit by combining 2019 profit and 2020 deficit and pay off the deficit 50-50. Dealt with the various community groups seeking grants. Archives, $5,000. Museum, $5,000. Friends of Camp Hughes Heritage Site, $2,000. Ag Society, usually $3,000, but with no fare or rental in 2020, $2,000 may be adequate. Arts Council, $5,500. Director Amy Urquhart has resigned. Sandhills Golf Course, community owned. RM $3,000 and town $2,000. Wings to War Air Base Memorial, federally funded, soon to open. Service for seniors, proposed shade structure beside drop-in center. CC Yip has committed help. Foundation and Manitoba government may help. Library has been freshly painted and has a new librarian, Laurie McNevin. Congratulations to Carberry Signs, Betty and Terry, who were chosen to produce 2 attractive welcome signs on Highway 23 east and west of Belmont. The Belmont LUD committee selected the design depicting both the village and RM of Prairie Lakes. Pine Fort 4. The popular icon in the heart of Sprucewoods Park has been purchased by Mark and Marla McGregor of Glenborough from longtime owners Henry and Cheryl Bowie. The Pine Fort 4 hosts a convenience store, mini golf, a takeout food stand, and hopefully paddle boats and canoes will be available for rent again. Seasonal employees are required. In preparation for the 2021 baseball season, Morden Mohawks have changed their club name to the Mud Hens. Since joining the Border League in 2012, Morden has been league champions in 2013, 14, 15, and 17. And the Brier winner this year was Alberta's Botcher. Brendan Botcher won 2 thrilling games in the Calgary Bubble Sunday, March 14th, to capture the 2021 Tim Hortons Brier for the Canadian Men's Curling Championship. He had previously won 3 successive silver medals and was voted the 2021 Sportsmanship Award. Teammates Darren Moulding, 3rd, Brad Thiessen, 2nd, and Carrick Martin, lead, edged Kevin Cooey 4-2 in the finals, and Matt Dunstone 6-5 in the semis. Botcher made a game-winning angle raise to score 2 in the 10th over Dunstone, who was a former Manitoba junior champ. The Saskatchewan champions, who won bronze at the last Brier, were aided immensely by the community of Wadena, which provided them with 2 weeks of practice ice. Botcher curled 97% in the finals, which saw 4-time Brier winner Cooey concede the game in the 10th end. The new Brier champ was impressed when Victoria fan Barbara Wilson, age 88, sent him a colorful pair of socks to keep his ankles warm. Her granddaughter contributed a thoughtful support letter, and the Alberta skip never lost after that. Mike McEwen, wildcard 1, which included Carberry's Derek Samagalski, had a mediocre event and did not qualify for the 8-team playoffs. Manitoba's Jason Gunlison, which included lead Connor Negevin, made the playoffs. Negevin curled in Carberry as a skip in the MHSAA Championships when Joe Witherspoon won the title. The 2021 Brier winner will represent Canada at the April 2nd to 11th World Men's Curling Championship in the same venue. They also receive $100,000 of the $300,000 prize money and get a berth at the Olympic trials in November. All-star teams selected from the 2021 Brier were: first team, the skip, Brad Gushu from Team Canada; third, Braden Muscowie from Saskatchewan; second, Brad Thiessen from Alberta; lead, Ben Hebert from the wildcard 2. The second team, all-star team, was skip Kevin Cooey from wildcard 2; third, BJ Neufeld, also from wildcard 2; second, Brett Galland from Team Canada; and lead, Ryan Harnden from Northern Ontario. And here's a picture of Chris Warwick of Nipah, who ended up winning the 2021 Nipah Natives Cash Draws 50/50 prize. Warwick picked up his winnings on Thursday, March 11th, getting the check from KDF at the Nipah Banner and Press building. This year, the 50/50 winner received a check for $8,250. The grand prize of $15,000 was won by Ray and Daryl Kulbaki. Congratulations to all the winners this year. Special thanks to everyone who also purchased a ticket. And I think we're almost done. Let's see. Oh, here. Here's another old picture from the olden days from the beautiful Plains Museum. Along with the local farming history, this photo also provided a hint towards Nipaw's local photography history. The signature on this photo, which has been cropped out to fit the available space, reads, "The Moorish Studio, Nipah, Manitoba." This relates to a photography business that once stood in Nipah. Albert Moorish, born at Goderich, Ontario in 1881, began working as a photographer in 1904 at Crystal City in North Dakota. Moorish took postcard views at numerous towns around southern Manitoba and worked in partnership with William J. Stanlake, starting around 1907. Moorish continued his work there until 1916, when he quit to join up with the Canadian Expeditionary Forces. Sometime after returning from service in 1920, Moorish operated the Davidson Studio in Brandon in partnership with Frank W. Weeks. Later, Moorish Studio was established at Nipah until approximately 1947. Moorish passed in 1968 and was interred at the Riverside Cemetery. This is a thrashing picture at Bob Anderson's farm in 1928. Interesting. Minnedosa Trail Project receives financial support. This is a picture of Heritage Co-op General Manager Lauren Zacharias, Paul Archbutt, Carrie McCallum, and Dave Tournier from Valley Life Recreation, Inc. A new donation from Heritage Co-op is expected to assist with an ambitious upgrade to Minnedosa's Squirrel Trail. On March 17th, representatives with the Co-op's Community Development Fund donated $6,000 to Valley Life Recreation. The money will aid proposed improvements for the nearly 3-kilometer ski loop located on the town's west end. Currently, the project is looking at installing professional-level mountain biking and multi-use trails on the site. The exact cost of the improvements has not yet been made public, though the timeline for the work to start has been confirmed for 2022. In an email to the Banner and Press, Jordan Jacobsen, my daughter-in-law, the Human Resources Advisor with Heritage Co-op, noted that their Community Development Fund was very excited to be able to assist the trail expansion project. Heritage Co-op is proud to be able to support worthwhile community projects like this through our community fund. Building sustainable communities is a foundational piece of our business model that helps us to make a difference in members' lives, stated Lauren Zacharias, the General Manager of Heritage Co-op. Valley Life Recreation expressed its gratitude to Heritage Co-op for their generous donation and belief in what they are working on. They added that this support permits Valley Life to move directly to the final conceptual planning phase. The Squirrel Hills Recreation Area is located in the Little Saskatchewan River Valley, west of the ethanol plant on Highway 10 in Minnedosa. And the last piece is a picture of where the old Nipah Fire Hall used to be. The demolition of the old Nipah Fire Hall, located at 421 First Avenue, has been completed. Total Demolition, a company based out of Porch La Prairie, handled the removal of hazardous materials and the tear down of the structure. The agreed upon cost of the work was $59,628 plus applicable tax. The contractors began work on the site early in March and were able to get all the demolition done and materials cleared ahead of the agreed upon time. There is no indication yet as to what's next for the property. This is what it used to look like, and now this is what it looks like now. And that is it for this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.